Got traffic there. Blaster, just take it up to the departure end of the runway, then a left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final, you're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold, take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final, runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Oh, we have one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see, what we got, a tricycle, put it down, tricycle, put it down, tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you cleared land on 9, all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway and I might have to just send you around, that'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. You do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow on the final, and as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to re-sequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, here on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around.
Yeah, follow.
Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that after 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, three, two, one.
Hello.
Hello and welcome to everybody. Oh, why are we back at Wednesday? Hang on. There's Dave White, and someone's stolen all the colour from the screen. Hang on, this is meant to go swimmingly when I'm in charge.
Ian, are you there? Are you clicking things?
Yes, he's in the background, isn't he? Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. You'll notice that there's no Ian tonight. He's headed to France for a little bit of time away, so filling his seat is Annabelle Cook. Annabelle, thanks for joining us.
Welcome.
And plus filling in for Dave Calderwood, who's away, is the king of cross-channel crossing knowledge. It's Dave White, and he's also going to have some top tips for us on making your first crossing, or maybe helping out your knowledge if you've been already and you maybe need to know some facts. So that'll be later in the show. Talking later, we'll have news. There's lots of airline scholarships, a fundraising flying for a really good cause, eco caravans, flying cars, Hammond versus May electric car versus electric aeroplane race. Plus Fancy Hangar is all about racing GA aeroplanes. But first, it's time to thank SkyDemon for supporting the show. We couldn't do it without them, and it's a top tip from Hannah tonight, and it's all about multi-sector routes.
Hi, I'm Hannah from SkyDemon, and this is this week's top tip.
If you're planning a longer journey, you may wish to break it up into shorter legs with one or more landing points along the way. For example, if you need to stop for fuel. First, plan the route as a whole. Then hold your finger on the airfield you want to add as an intermediate landing point and tap Routing. Land here. The route is now divided into 2 sectors, each with its own pilot log, planned fuel, and virtual radar. The active sector is bolder and highlighted blue, and you can tap to change it. You can also change the landing to a different airfield if you need to, just by dragging it with your finger. To remove the landing point and rejoin the sectors back together into one route, bring up the What's Here menu and choose Routing. Do not land here.
For more information, go to our website, skydemon.aero.
I like that one. That looks useful.
I was literally wondering if that was possible today.
Yeah. There we go. Hannah has your answer. I like the whole and is having presented I'm flying the entire length of the United Kingdom, and she's like, perhaps you'd like to stop for fuel. It's like, I think I'm going to need to stop for more than fuel, Hannah.
Yeah. T's and P's.
T's and P's, literally. Yes. Yes. So yes, Annabelle.
Yeah, so speaking of flying the entire length of the UK, spring is currently on track, I read today, to be the driest in over 100 years. That's bad news for gardeners, but it's great news for GA. Actually, Ian was saying on Skystream yesterday that we must be getting bored of it because he's seen a noticeable reduction in GA traffic. I think everyone's got over the shock of it not raining. Other than that, we've just run out of places to one or two. But the temperature has now dropped, and Simon has chickened out of joining us live. So what's going to happen this weekend? Shall we find out?
Yes.
Evening all, how are you? Sorry I can't be with you again this evening. I will be with you at some point live again, you know, I do exist. It's just that things have been a little bit hectic with Thursday evening, so I'm sending my apologies to you again this evening, but hopefully you'll appreciate the forecast because it looks like being a pretty decent one. Now, lots of questions being asked about when we're going to see a change in the glorious weather that we've been having. Well, take a look at this chart. This is the forecast for next Friday, the 23rd of May. So this is from the ECMWF model, and it shows rainfall and it shows pressure. The rainfall is the blue colours that you see on there. And look at that, that's rain coming into Scotland, Ireland and western parts of the UK associated with the front moving east. Now, we do have to treat this one a little bit cautiously, but it's interesting it's there and it's been quite consistent. And interesting as well that some other models are just hinting that we could see a break of sorts coming through next weekend. So perhaps the end is nigh. Time to make the most of the flying weather that we've got, because I do think that once that break sets in, we could well be in for quite a mixed maybe even unsettled spell of weather. But we'll see what happens. But as I say, make the most of this week. So easy charts ahead. This is the forecast for tomorrow, and we've got a northeasterly wind. We've got high pressure centered up towards the north. Some cloud may affect eastern coast, but generally it looks like it is going to be a fair day again. Flyable just about everywhere. If we get any bases, 4,000-5,000 feet, but to be honest, I'm not expecting much at all. Now, as we head in towards Saturday, high pressure up towards the northwest again. Still got that northeasterly breeze affecting eastern areas. Quite strong winds, though, coming in from the northeast across East Anglia and the southeast, perhaps gusting 20, maybe even 25 knots. And just look on the cloud ceilings here. Can you see that we've got a ceiling there of around 2,000 to 3,000 feet across more eastern areas of the country? I do think more cloud for the Eastern Midlands, East Anglia, North East England, South East England even, during the course of Saturday morning. Base is still probably around that 3,000 foot mark, and the top's around 6,000 feet. Further west, essentially, it's good flying all the way. We've got clear skies, and actually it's okay in the east, apart from there being that cloud around. And then headed in towards Sunday, still under the influence of high pressure. Very little changes where we've got a north to northeasterly breeze. It may well be that the winds are considerably lighter across more eastern areas. And once again, we may well find that there is some cloud affecting particularly parts of northeastern England, the Eastern Midlands, East Anglia and southeast England. Here bases 3,000 feet for some, 6,000 foot tops, but elsewhere really very, very little cloud and good visibility as well. So, like I say, get out there and make the most of it. Things could be about to change as we head in towards next weekend. Now, things probably going to be more mixed by the time we get to my Aviation Weather School Part 1 course. This is going to be held on the Tuesday evenings of the 10th and 17th of June. It's presented entirely live by me online, so you can watch it from wherever you are. I'll show you how to forecast for flying up to 5 days in advance, how you can spot those weather windows, how you can build your confidence in the predictions that you make and in the forecasts that you're seeing, and I'll just get you flying more. Spaces are booking up quite quickly now, so if you want to come along, go to weatherschool.co.uk and book your place now. Okay, have a safe weekend. Am I live next week? I don't know whether I am. It might be the week after. But whatever you're doing, have a great one, won't you? And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
And that's so all this run of good weather is all very well until it actually comes to an end. And I hate the fact that he's going, it might come to an end.
I think it might be my fault because we might be about to fly the glass star again.
Annabelle, really? And I think you've been rumbled because Ridder says, Cordy Bumple, what a good word. I
wonder if there's any farmers in the live stream audience, because it's horrible for farming, but it's great for flying. So how does that balance out?
Well, you need a flying farmer, do we?
How does that work?
Do we know any?
I think we do.
Yes. So, well, okay. Which brings us nicely to the news. And I believe, Jimmy, you have the first story, and it's quite a big one.
Yeah, big news this week from Jet2, who've become the third airline so far to open up fully funded training course. So this is going to be for around 60 people. Applications are now open, and they're going to be running through till early June, so about 3 weeks' time. This is the Jet2 Flypath program, which is a fully funded ATPL, funding everything, even accommodation costs, a living allowance, even funding the medical, which some courses haven't funded the medical because you have to do that at the very first stage. But this is good news. So I went to Jet2's headquarters in Leeds on Tuesday, and there was a big event there. They're super excited about it, and it's a big investment from them to pay for ATPLs for 60 people. And obviously it kind of mirrors the BA Speedbird Academy scheme and the TUI scheme, in that the lower age limit is 18, and there's no upper age limit, so it's for anybody who basically they were really having the desire for people who've just got a passion for aviation but have never been able to take it forward as a career. So it's a massive opportunity for people.
And Ian mentioned it a little bit in the Fly Club Skystream yesterday, but I think is it spread across 3 different schools, I think?
Yeah, so you can put forward a preference as to where you want to train. That won't guarantee it, but it'll be either FT Jerez, Skyborn in Gloucester and Florida, or Leading Edge, which obviously train in Oxford and Alhambra in Spain. So yeah, really good news. And it's the second biggest. TUI's, I think we're in the sort of 20 spaces. BA have now, I think they're training well over 150 now after their 3rd year of the Speedbird Academy.
Yeah.
So TUI straight in with 60s is incredible.
Yeah, and I don't think there's. I can't remember a time when there's been so many airline scholarships.
It must be 15 years more, 20 years probably.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. But as David Eade said, I don't think I can show the comment. But you forget how big Jet2 is. It is the 3rd biggest airline. They've got 160 something aircraft.
Good point.
With orders at the moment for another 140.
Yeah.
So they are huge. They've got 13 bases across the UK, and they will be opening more. So
yeah. Nick Allen says, "Sure, it's a chunk of money, but it's tiny compared to the cost of the fleet." Mr. Always Blue says, "No upper age limit. I'm 60. Would that be pushing it?" Probably.
Apply and tell us.
Yeah. I wouldn't discourage you from applying, but I'm not getting your hopes up.
You definitely won't get it if you don't apply.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Annabelle.
Yeah. So, what are you doing on Bank Holiday Monday? Goodwood is hosting a fundraising fly-in. So that's Monday, the 25th of August, and that's in support of the Rob Wildeber scholarships. For those who don't know, Rob was the flying school manager at Goodwood who passed away in 2021. So, yeah, you can fly in. I don't know if your eyesight's good enough to read that little picture, but you can fly in for £30 or drive in for 15. Both tickets include a food voucher. There's also going to be some sort of a silent auction and a simulator challenge, the details of which are being kept very quiet. All proceeds from the fly-in are going to go to the scholarships. It says on their website that they have raised just over £27,000 to date, and they have helped 20 students.
Wow.
So yeah, this is a great initiative. I know a few people who've won these scholarships, and yeah, they're really nice scholarships. So go along.
And Goodwood's a great place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So next, we've got some slightly political news. Martin Robinson from AOP UK has said that GA is being held back by politics, not necessarily by technology and the lack of EGNOS. So he said losing access to EGNOS after Brexit has put lives at risk and blocked safer satellite-based approaches at hundreds of UK airfields. If you don't know, EGNOS boosts GPS accuracy and allows pilots to land safely in poor weather. It's used all across Europe. There's over 1,000 approaches already relying on it, but that ended after Brexit for us. And apparently it's not down to cost, it's not down to technical limitations. He says it's just a fear of politicians looking like they're changing things back to how they were. And Martin says that rejoining EGNOS is the only logical move, and it is a kind of service agreement. It's not a sort of political statement in any way. It just makes sense. So we've got a big story about that on the website, as well as a link to something that Martin wrote for us back in 2022. He wrote an article entitled "Lost in Space," which is a good read about EGNOS. So head over to the website, the news section, to read more about that.
And it's a good point, isn't it? Because it's like, I know we have left Europe and we've done the things we want to do, but when it's safety related, it's like, you know, if a politician who favoured Brexit fell off a ship and you go, I've only got these life jackets, but they've got Europe stamped on them. It's like, oh no, I don't. I prefer to drown, please. Thanks very much. So. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, keep us upright, or UPRT.
Upright. Okay, so UPRT, upset prevention recovery training. There was a very interesting indeed article that Greeners, good old Greeners, Mark Greenfield from Ultimate High, put on LinkedIn. He's saying that there's a training com from the CAA from a few years ago that said UPRT is not appropriate for light aviation because it doesn't prioritize reducing minimum height loss or reducing height loss to the minimum. He's saying that's crazy. UPRT, I always think of it as upright. Don't know why. That was something which came from a global study of most of the large regulators and aviation research organizations. And it said, if you focus on minimum height loss, then that actually is potentially dangerous. It has actually been shown to lead to secondary stalls and in practice has led to a number of accidents. So he's very clear and he's saying, no, go back, have a look at it again. And the CAA, you could be a real leader in this and utilize that sort of training for the general aviation, the light aviation flyer. So there's a bit of a call to action. There's a very logical reason for doing it. Yes, Greeners has a business that's involved in that sort of thing. But from my perspective, he therefore knows what he's talking about. And if you look at the comments on the LinkedIn article, there are some real big names and big wheels in the operator community who are applauding him. So good bit of news that. Hopefully the CAA will see it. And
what Greeners doesn't know about safety isn't worth knowing, is it?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's and you know, the thing about UPRT that I always think about is that whole unloading thing. And if you unload the aeroplane, you're a long way to recovery, aren't you? That's
well, that's his point. His point is get out of the hazardous area and then think about what your height loss is and whether you need to do anything about it. But the important thing is get out of the problem and don't make yourself another one.
Exactly. So, and as
so good.
Jane says, I did the upset course. It was great. And as Catkin says, anyone who criticises Greeners is ripe in need of flying with him. So he does know his.
He does. I'm not criticising him, but I am in great need of flying with him. I need to give him a call, actually.
Okay. Cat Burton says, I disagree. Teaching recover before height loss works. Well, we all need to have varying views.
Well, that's what he's saying. Teach recovery before height loss.
Is she? Yeah. So is she disagreeing with the CAA? Yes. I think. Anyway, but yes, it's hard to. Definitely not disagreeing with Greeners. I think what he's got to say is bang on. So let's hope someone listens. So John Milner says height loss is not a factor. So cool. Right. My news, or some of my news. There's an eco caravan on the way, and it's potentially coming to the UK. So this is news that Zero Avia have sold eco caravans to UK company RVL Aviation. It's a grand caravan powered by Zero Avia's ZA600 hydrogen electric propulsion system, and it could be the world's first zero emission commercial cargo aeroplane. East Midlands based RVL would operate the aircraft, and it uses fuel cells to generate electricity, powering electric motors with water as the only byproduct. Potentially services are expected to commence on domestic routes across the British Isles once regulatory certification is completed and all aircraft modifications and crew training are finalised. I think that's pretty logical stuff, as you would imagine. But the partnership marks a financial milestone, a significant milestone for Zero Avia, as a ZA600 engine nears commercial readiness for, following extensive flight testing on a Dornier 228. You may have seen video of that flying at why am I saying Duxford? Kemble. So, but an interesting stuff. And obviously, Zero Avia, an American company that came to the UK because lots of good grants, but they appear to be doing good work with it. So. Whether hydrogen, it's like all these technologies, whether hydrogen is the future, who knows? So, and I see also, talking of the future, I've got the next story too, which is all about answering the long-running question, where is my flying car? And it's right here. It's Klein Vision has revealed the production prototype of its air car. Now, you probably, the Klein Vision air car has appeared on live stream news more than once, as videos of it flying in various configurations have been shown over the years. But Klein are saying, here is the final version, and it's quite a natty thing. The wings fold upwards and stow in the fuselage, and then that tail retracts into the fuselage to make it a little bit shorter, and I guess protects pedestrians from the spinning propeller. But I don't think you need the propeller in normal car driving mode. But it is a weird looking thing, and there are videos online should you want to see the air car flying. Anyway, this production prototype was unveiled at the Legends of Aviation Gala dinner, where Prince Harry was also present. So who knows? Maybe he's going, sign me up for a flying car. The air car is from Slovakia. From Slovakia, and it holds a certificate of airworthiness in that home country. And they've done more than 170 flight hours and more than 500 takeoffs and landings. So, and the complete transformation from aircraft to car or car to aircraft, it takes 2 minutes. So, but it's not
in that image, Ed.
Yes.
The prop diameter looks too big to fit in the gap between those booms.
I'm guessing smarter people than us have gone out with a measuring tape and measured the propeller and the tail boom and gone, one of these cannot be bigger than the other. So
I'm sure that's true, but it also might be the case that rendering is not quite accurate.
No, it does look like first start would be like, I can hear a noise as things wear out on other things. So.
Do we know what engine it's got? Because I've just been reading that it weighs 2,400 pounds, which is quite a lot.
That's quite heavy. Wow. So what they have said is we have a new 280 horsepower engine. And so I'm not sure the videos I've seen of it, it's not a sprightly performer. So
it's a little bit like Toothless, How to Train Your Dragon.
Cruise is 92 knots, apparently.
92 knots. Yeah. It's like, where's my flying car? Well, here it is, but actually stuff on the road is going faster than you.
Was that Seagull that just overtook me?
Yeah, I know. And it's not, I've got to say, it's not a looker, is it, really?
No.
No, but as I've always said, if you're sitting inside it, you haven't got to look at it.
That's true. That's true.
But I don't think I'd want to sit inside it either.
I've got to say, and obviously the rear wheels are, the landing gear is completely out of whack for where the center of kind of gravity and rotation, and you see this thing land, and it's like, here comes the main gear, and it touches, and all of a sudden it's like, it's like you're never going to get a lovely smooth landing in that. So, yes, Dave.
Right, yes. So again, novel aviation. This is Vertical Aerospace. Great bunch of people in Bristol working in the eVTOL domain. They have announced that they're going to have another variant of their VX4 aircraft, which will have a hybrid power plant rather than being powered solely by batteries. That makes quite a lot of sense to me. They're following in the footsteps of other eVTOL manufacturers such as Joby and Archer in the States. Ed will have some comment possibly to make about that picture in a minute, but the a key push here seems to be to try and get into the defence and security market, where people who are likely to purchase the product are going to be looking for greater range, and it's advantageous if it's going to be electric aircraft because it'll be so much quieter. So hopefully, they say they will be flying it early next year. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens with that. I believe they're operating out of Kemble.
Yeah, and I think this hybrid makes a lot more sense, I think, than pure batteries across so many platforms, doesn't it? But I've got to say, I'm looking at that engine in the foreground and you can see there's a bit marked vertical, and then there's clearly what is probably an electric motor or something further up in the shot. But I reckon that's a Rotax. I look at the airbox and the manifolds and stuff. That's a Rotax 916.
Nerd.
It's extreme nerdage, I know, but I was like, how have I not seen that before? It's like, this is going to be it's a Rotax powered eVTOL. I'm sure Vertical Aerospace, if they're watching this, is like, no, someone spotted it. So, but yeah, no, and I don't. That's not, and that's. I personally think that's a really good way to go about doing stuff. And Rolls-Royce, Siemens had a project with Tecnam at one point where they had a Rotax 914 and a Siemens motor, and the motor you could use as a starter motor for the engine, and then the engine could drive the motor to generate power. There was a small battery for the times you had very high power demand, but then in flight, when your power demands are reduced, you can run the engine, charge the battery, keep the aeroplane flying. So it makes a lot of sense. It is a bit, part of me would go, I'm sure lots of people will go, but you're using a conventional engine to do electric motor things and claim, look, it's an electric eVTOL. But I think these are solutions.
Yeah,
they are, and it's a bit like a hybrid road vehicle, isn't it? Yes, it's not absolutely moving the gas burner out of the air vehicle, but it's on the way to doing that, and hopefully it will be greener than just taking things from a charging battery farm, which is going to be taking its energy from the grid anyway. They've been working on this for 18 months, so it's pretty mature.
Yeah, absolutely. And Michael Pear says diesel electric has been proven on railways. So
and in submarines.
Yeah, of course. So, of course, both of those don't really need to worry about lightweight.
No.
Annabelle.
Yeah. So you may have seen a Drive Tribe video special that was released last week. James May and Richard Hammond decided it'd been a while since they had done an absurd race. So they pitched an electric Pipistrel Velis against an electric Porsche and raced 100 miles from Henstridge to Dunsfold, which is the former Top Gear test track. Phil Kingsley Dobson from AeroVolt, who joined us as a live stream guest last year, acts as James's pilot, and they use the AeroVolt charging system while they have lunch at Thruxton. This takes longer than expected, with further delays, while James has more tea, and they wait for some weather to pass through. In other words, it's all perfectly normal for GA. Despite this, both of them arrive at the finish line within minutes of each other. As well as the main video, there's a behind-the-scenes film, which is actually, I think, more fun and more interesting than the race. And interestingly, to coin a phrase, Top Gear used to film at North Weald when I worked there. James May was always lovely. He used to stop and have a chat with us on the way through.
Oh,
nice chat.
Nice chat.
Oh, let me pop a link for that in the.
Definitely, that's worth a watch. It's good. It's good fun, and I long for the day when James May might go, hey, that Fly live stream, I'd quite fancy being a guest on that.
I have tried.
I know we've tried. James, caller.
Did you offer beer?
But he's a good agent for GA. So
and he makes gin.
And well, he does everything and anything to promote his gin. So maybe we should, if we all drink it or have it on our shelves.
I would, I would invest. I would buy every little square on this in box, a bottle of gin.
Okay then.
James May, I will buy 4 bottles of gin.
That's done it. Yeah, he's a chewy now.
He's like, oh my gosh, this is what I
host a flyer cocktail evening.
That's it. Yeah.
It would get very messy.
These are the
Dave
same.
makes a mean aviator
Yeah.
cocktail.
Yeah, gin, do it. And there's the video should you want to watch it. Definitely worth doing. Talking of videos, if you haven't seen it yet, then our latest video in the Flyer TV world asks the question, were our initial thoughts about the Bose A30 headset? Were we wrong about it? Obviously, we reviewed it at its launch. I won't spoil the surprise if you haven't seen it, but the video has generated quite a bit of comment all around the world, to be fair. So I'll stick a link in the comments if you haven't watched that already. Oh, I've broken the link. That wasn't a good start. How about a special edition gin with the Flyer logo on it to promote it? Well, you know,
what would be the botanicals, do you think, for that?
The Bose video is Bose A30 video is there. Should you want to watch it? So yeah, no. And to be fair, we'll do anything.
Well, not anything. Speak for yourself, Ed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. On behalf of my presenters,
Ed will take up drinking.
Yes, I don't drink. I'll take up drinking. Well, that's probably a step too far. So.
That could be another live stream special, couldn't it? Watch it and drink gin.
Yes. Not the time to start. Johnny, have you got some club news?
Yeah, so if you haven't joined the Flyer Club, then you won't probably know about our free landing vouchers for this month. We've got Bagby, Skye, Haverfordwest and Perth all available to go and visit. And I think that's last month's picture.
Don't go to them. They were last month.
No, definitely don't land at those.
Yeah.
And we've got loads of webinars. I was going through them earlier. We've got 30 webinars now, which you can watch on catch up through the Flyer Club user dashboard. And you can join at flyer.co.uk/membership for either £5 a month. There it is.
Yeah, probably not the winter weather tips either, unless you're planning for next winter. We probably need.
Or if you live in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah. Have a crash. No, there we go. What you need to know about car bicing is a good one.
So we've got tons to catch up on, as well as all the written content on flyer.co.uk.
Yeah.
So yeah, join £52 for a full year, or just £5 a month, which is basically nothing.
Yeah.
Especially compared to the value of this month's landing fees, which is about £61, I think.
You can save that in one hit if you went and did them all for a month. So which leads us perfectly into tonight's guest, and he's already here. We don't have to do any fiddling around of screens or anything like that. Dave White is here to talk about, because you may have seen, if you're a Fly Club member, Dave did a really, really good, very comprehensive webinar about going overseas. Dave is here tonight to give you, if you've not crossed the channel before, maybe you're a bit apprehensive about that. Maybe you're thinking 2025 is the year for me to cross the channel. And Dave has his top tips for cross-channel flight. Dave, why should people cross the channel for a start, apart from to get to the other side?
To get to the other side. Well, personal achievement is a big thing. The first time you do it, if you haven't done it, and the people who have will, I'm sure, agree with me, you feel as if this is what aviation was all about. We live on an island. We don't have to stay on an island. And France is no distance at all away if you go over on the short crossing. So once you're in France, the world is indeed your lobster, Rodney. There are many places that you can go to from Calais or Le Touquet, and actually, it turns out it's even easier flying in Europe sometimes than it is flying in the UK, particularly in the southeast of the UK with all of the airspace that we've got there. Other reasons to do it? Why not? It's a good way of seeing the world in a different manner. So yeah, go and do it. this obviously is a discussion that is somewhat time limited. So anybody who has seen the Flyer Club presentation that I gave last month will be going, why am I listening to this again? Well, actually, mainly this is for the non-club members here, and it's for two reasons. The first reason is, as Ed and Ian would guarantee, I need to say, is join the Flyer Club, and then you can go and look at the real thing, the full length presentation. But also it's to spread the word. I'm a great advocate on showing people how easy it is to fly overseas. And I suppose the first question is, where do you start?
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
Well, there are two ways of looking at that question. One is go and have a look at my webinar. But the other one is just plan a route as you would normally. If you do it in SkyDemon, actually SkyDemon gives you, and the other EFBs do too, gives you a hint as to what you need to do. It tells you need to file a flight plan because you're crossing an international border. It tells you need a general aviation report. And depending on where you're going, it will also give you a strong hint that you need to tell the port of entry in your non-Great Britain destination that you're coming. They need notice too. Their equivalent of Border Force will probably come and see you and stamp your passport and do all of the things that they need to do. So yeah, that's where you start. Just plan it as if you would any other flight and think about the differences. And then we talk about what those differences are.
So who needs to, if I'm on my first cross-channel trip, who needs to know I'm traveling?
Yeah, it's easy for you to say it.
I know.
You need to
I do, so I can ask you to bring me back some wine.
Yeah, well, quite. You need to tell Border Force that you are departing the UK. That's a relatively recent change. Up until a couple of years ago, you could just depart from the UK without telling the British authorities. But now you need to give Border Force 2 hours notice before you depart. And you need to give your port of entry overseas notice of your arrival. There's no standard period for that. It depends very much on where you're going, not only in terms of the country, but also the particular airfield. Different airfields, different ports of entry have different notification periods, typically because they need the customs people to come from elsewhere, either the local town or sometimes the local maritime port, that kind of thing. And the third organization you need to tell are the air traffic community and the safety community, and that's achieved by one document, which is the flight plan. Again, really easy to submit, and if you do it in one of the EFBs like SkyDemon, they basically will do it for you using the information that you've already put in there for your journey.
And I know if you're a first timer, the whole opening and closing a flight plan, because obviously the EFBs will generate it, but I know some people get really hung up about, opening and closing a flight plan, that's a scary thing. Should people be scared of that?
No, absolutely not. Certainly, if you fly into a European port of entry, then the air traffic, because most of those airfields have got air traffic, will almost certainly close it for you on arrival and open it for you automatically if you depart back to the UK.
Okay.
If you're departing the UK, you can do it over the radio to London Information. Yes, there's a little bit of hassle getting a word in edgewise sometimes, but you just need to know your takeoff time. You can open the flight plan. You don't have to do it immediately after you get airborne. Just say, I was airborne at time 05, even if that's 15 minutes ago. It's absolutely fine. And if it so happens you turn up in France and they're having lunch, and there aren't any air traffickers on to close your flight plan for you, then you have a number to call. There's a nationwide number in most countries to open and close flight plans.
Right. Okay.
Oh, and the other thing which I forgot, again, another reason for SkyDemon, and I'm a big fan of SkyDemon, but they're not paying me to advertise them. They allow you to close the flight plan from within the app. So you go to manage filed flight plans and close flight plan. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah. Dermic says SkyDemon allows you to close flight plans.
Yeah, and delay them if you need to.
Okay.
Right. So, what does that mean? We've spoken about one of the tools that makes life so much easier. That is the electronic flight bag. Other tools, certainly departing. Well, the internet is a critical tool here. Border Force require you on departure and arrival back in the UK to complete a document called a General Aviation Report Form. It's an easy form. It just needs a little bit of care. And you can do that through a website. Very sadly, you can't do it on your phone, but you can complete it using a laptop or something else. And you can do that from home. There's no real requirement other than you have to do it 48 hours within 48 hours of departure and no later than 2 hours before you go. And similarly, the port of entry that you're going to come to wants information from you. Who are you? Where are you coming from? What are the passport numbers of the people on board? What are their nationalities? That kind of thing. The same information that UK Border Force wants. And you can either do that on an online form. Again, it's airfield specific, or send an email to the customs guys. You can't send an email in the UK, but you can in France and the Netherlands and elsewhere. And often countries have their own forms. So yeah, it is easier than you think. Really, really is.
Okay. And the notice, in terms of notice that people need to give, is the 48 hours really the key one, or are there any others that people need to think about?
I mean, we're always watching the weather, aren't we? So yes, you can submit it 48 hours in advance if you wish. I typically am not certain whether I'm going to go so many times 48 hours ahead of the game. But you can do that if you wish. The really critical one is you have to have submitted it 2 hours before you take off.
Okay.
And the reason for that, the UK Border Force end, the reason for that is to give Border Force time to get to your airfield if they wish. Similarly, the notice periods in Europe are to give their customs and immigration people time to come up to the airfield if they wish. They probably will in France.
Okay. And I guess big question: will I need to speak French?
No, no, you don't. To arrive in France, as I've already mentioned, you are inherently going to arrive at a port of entry. A port of entry, almost by definition, is a serious airport, but not necessarily a big and busy airport. And they will almost invariably, in fact, I can't think of an example where air traffic don't speak to their aircraft in English. Well, they might speak French to a French aircraft in the circuit, but to you, they're quite happy speaking English.
Okay.
Calais is a lovely place to go to, and quite conveniently, it's the runway there is not quite 90 degrees to the runway at the Touquet, which is only just down the coast. So if you put them in as each other's alternate and tell both of them that you're potentially coming, then if you're worried about the wind, then that's a way of dealing with that problem.
You've got options.
Don't forget, though, to tell the one that you don't go to. Then,
Jane says speaking French as well can be useful. The Calais bar was closed for lunch when I smiled nicely and said how gorgeous they were. Our flying got loads of sandwiches, baguettes. Well, there we go.
Nice.
I have a question for you, Dave. So when I made my first and only European trip, which was quite substantial, I did it in a C of A aircraft, but now I have an LA8 aircraft. So what's different?
Yes, so this is very much country specific. So taking France as a good example, France very kindly allow most non-Part 21 aircraft, so we'll call those home-built and historic types, to enter and fly around the country as a blanket permission. Not every country does, so you will need to look in the AIP to see whether or not you need to request permission. Germany, for example, you need to request permission. I did that. I actually did that last weekend, I sent my email, and they want copies of your registration certificate, your permit validation, radio license, all of the things you would expect. And I sent that on Saturday night. Clearly, they weren't working on Saturday night, and I got it back at 10 a.m. European time on Monday morning. So it was turned around immediately.
Very efficient.
Not as efficient as the Channel Islands, who actually sent it to me at 1 minute past 9 on Monday morning, because I'd sent them the confirmation as well.
Probably the only email they actually had. Oh, can I answer it?
The other thing that people will ask is, I fly on a PMD. Can I use that in Europe?
Yeah.
Again, France are great. They're one of a small number of countries. I believe Belgium is another that accepts the personal medical declaration from the UK. And France will also accept pilots flying on an NPPL or a UK LAPL. Their view is, if you're legal to fly in your home country, we're quite happy for you to fly in France. That's not true for, I would say, most other countries, because it's a question of they don't know the question even needed to be asked. Their view is, I expect an ICAO compatible license, so I know what it is, I understand it. And an NPPL is not an ICAO compatible license, and a PMD is not an ICAO compatible medical. But as I've already said, you can still cross the channel, go to France. France is a big country with lots of great stuff to see and eat and drink.
So what would you, if anyone is, there's a guy, that Europa guy says, great talk, Dave. I'm planning on my first European flight in the next few months, possibly only to, obviously no destination decided yet. Where did you, if you were making your first trip, what might be like a really good first trip for a beginner be?
Oh, well, that's an interesting question. I mean, I think it depends on your appetite for adventure, but it's normally a good idea to hop across the channel and probably land and clear customs sooner rather than later, because that just allows you more confidence, I think. You can, if you wish, just go and have lunch at Calais, lunch at Le Touquet, and then come home again. Or you could clear customs there and then go to even spend a night overseas. And I am a real fan of Amiens. Amiens is in the middle of that boring bit of France, it would seem from the air, in the Pas de Calais, but they've got a wonderful cathedral that does a just jaw-dropping son et lumiere. And there's a little canal side, or the riverside part of the city drops down into a little area that allows you to choose from probably a dozen different restaurants, and you can sit by the river at this time of year with this type of weather. It would be delightful. So either go and come back again, or do a overnighter, but not too far in France. Or if you're really adventurous, keep on going.
Ooh.
Question for me, Dave. This all sounds reasonably doable, but how long does it take? If at 20 past 8, if I wanted to go tomorrow, is it too late? Is it not?
No, not at all. So we've already mentioned from the UK side, you need to give them 2 hours notice. If you wanted to go to, let's pick Calais, they have a 2 hour notice requirement as well. Le Touquet is ostensibly 2 hours, but they frequently have a permanent presence, because I believe Macron's got a holiday home in the town. So you could send your documents now, and you could leave first thing in the morning, and so long as there's 2 hours notice provided to the relevant people, and you only need 30 minutes in practice for a flight plan. So you could decide to go 2 hours, go.
Brilliant.
Good.
There's a couple of questions. Melanie Moxon says, do some countries also mandate a Mode S transponder?
Some do, yes. So the Netherlands does. France, interestingly, I spotted this today. France does not. There is no mandate for Mode S in France. Anywhere that requires a transponder, Mode Alpha and Mode Charlie are still acceptable in France. Mode S gives you a lot of options, though. If you've got one, flaunt it. If you haven't got one, don't let it hold you back.
Okay.
If you haven't got a transponder at all, then if the airfield that you're choosing to go into as a port of entry doesn't require a transponder because it's a class of airspace, you're good to go in there as well.
Cool. Nick Allen asks, because you talked about applying to Germany for permissions, how long does that last? Is that limited duration or unlimited time?
It's limited by the validity of the documents that you provide them. So my insurance expires in November. They've given me a permission that lasts until my insurance expires in November.
Okay, that's sensible. Dave Calderwood asked the question. Hello, Dave. Isn't the question, will your insurer pay up if you have an accident while flying in Europe?
Well, have a look at your insurance policy, and I would be astounded if your insurance policy doesn't include all of the major and minor European countries. I think I've never had an insurance document that doesn't.
I've just done some insurance today, and I actually had to tick UK only because it defaulted to Europe, UK, Europe. So.
But check the values, because I think we had to increase the insurance on the aircraft I took because it wasn't insured for enough.
Okay.
And again, the AIP for the country that you're visiting is your friend there. You will find your way around AIPs or certain areas of the AIP anyway quite quickly. It's normally the general pages, AIP 1. AIP Gen 1 and AIP Gen 3, but all of the AIPs are in the same format. So once you found it for one country, you should be able to find it for another.
Sure. Mr. Always Blue says, what preparations are required for the Channel Islands?
So the Channel Islands are part of the Common Travel Area, which is the Channel Islands, Channel Islands, Great Britain, Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, and the Isle of Man. There is some recent changes about notification periods and where you can go from. And actually, I'll come back to airfields that you can depart from in a minute. But for the Channel Islands specifically, you still need to give 12 hours notice to Border Force, not the 2 hours notice if you're going to the EU. There is continual talk that will be reduced, but it's a British law issue. So you need to provide 12 hours notice to Border Force. Sorry, not to Border Force, to the police, actually. But you do it using the same General Aviation Report format by email this time to the police. And when you get to the Channel Islands, you can either fill in a form on arrival, prepare the form before you go, their equivalent of the General Aviation Report, or submit it when you submit your one to UK Border Force, whatever's convenient for you. They don't have a time limit at the Channel Islands end. The time criticality is at the UK end.
Brilliant. Okay, and we're going to wrap it up with one last question from Matthew Cave, who says, how often have you been ramp checked for aircraft documentation, and have you ever had any problems?
Once, and no. That was at Metz, which was a mistake to go into because we went in there for fuel and they don't have avgas, but that's a long story. And the reason that happened was not because of anything that we did, but because there was a new douanier under training, and they wanted to go through all of the documents so that they knew what was required by the new guy. No problems at all very polite, all really good.
Very good. Excellent. Well, that's been fantastic. Sorry.
Can I come back with one more thing? I forgot to say, if you are departing the UK now, I'd said we needed to talk to Border Force. You need to make sure that the airfield, the airstrip you're departing from, is a regulated airfield. If you don't know what that means, talk to the airfield manager or the airfield owner. They will tell you whether they are or not. If they say, no, we're not, or what's that, then you'll probably have to hop in somewhere else in the UK that is. A good but not comprehensive list of those airfields is on the back of the General Aviation Report guidance document, which if you go GAR Guidance Aviation into Google, you'll find that document.
Brilliant. Yeah, very good. I think it's hopefully if you haven't made the cross-channel trip before, that's given you some things to think about. And like Dave says, there's nothing holding you back, just process and planning, really, isn't it? And if you want to watch Dave's brilliant webinar, which is way longer than this little bit has been, and you're not a Fly Club member, head to fly.co.uk/membership, sign up today, and your member dashboard will give you access to that webinar, plus a whole bunch of, like Johnny said, over 30 other webinars. Johnny, what are you staring at?
I'm just reading Nick Allen's comment.
Which was?
Oh, this one.
Oh, no.
That's...
Oh, my gosh. Oof. Oh, no. Okay. We'll see what we can find out, maybe. That's bad news. Well, hopefully. Yeah. Anyway, on that bombshell, Dave, thank you very much. Brilliant talk. It must be time for... Bit of a shocker there. So, okay, so fancy hangar, because we heard about James May racing Richard Hammond in an electric car versus electric aeroplane race. We thought, hey, let's pick some general aviation aeroplanes that have been famous for racing for our fancy hangars. And we're talking of aeroplanes which are, you can take a friend with you. So at least 2 seats, because obviously there's lots of racers that have featured here before, but we're not after them. We're after being able to go racing and take a friend. Who's first?
Johnny, I think.
Oh, is it me?
Johnny, you're first on the list. What have you got for?
I've gone back to France again. I've gone for the Caudron C430 Rafale, which was a funky 2-seat. Believe it or not, 2-seat. There are only 2 seats in that, as we were discussing earlier. It looks like
I can't believe that. That must be
the
4
whole family.
That's got to be 4 people in line, surely.
I still think you paint it yellow and it's a school bus.
Yeah.
And they're definitely compensating for something.
Very frank.
Definitely. Yeah, it was a derivative of the C362, and it was a wooden frame covered in plywood and fabric with a 150 horsepower engine initially, 2-blade variable pitch prop, and only two 430s were built, and one achieved a speed record of 292 kilometers an hour over 100 kilometers in a weight class of under 560 kilos in 1934.
Wow.
And then the second was flown by a famous French aviator called Hélène Boucher, who died in that same year, unfortunately, crashing one on approach. But I just think they're really cool looking machines. Probably hugely impractical, probably uncomfortable, horrible to fly.
Did you say that's less than 560 kilos? It looks bigger aircraft than that.
Apparently, yeah, under 560.
Well, I guess they didn't waste a lot of weight on the tailplane, the fin, or the rudder, did they?
That's very true.
And there's probably not much in the wing either, to be fair. No. Dave, you're up next. What did you go for?
Well, I was going to go because I'm pretty sure I've seen a picture of 2 DC-6s going around a pylon and air race, but I didn't go for that. I indulged myself with the Jodel DR 1050 M1 Cecile record. So this is the first, this very aircraft, Yankee Oscar, is the first aircraft I ever had a share in. That's at one of the Cranfield rallies way back in the day. And it's called the Cecile record because it won the 1964 Round Sicily Rally. Pierre Robin was flying it, And the average speed, believe it or not, was 162 miles an hour, which is not bad at all.
Okay.
I know, for a 105 horsepower four-seater.
Even the
So
aeroplane's going, ooh.
it's got a very small rudder compared with most Jodels, and a fixed fin, big fixed fin forward of it, and an all-flying tail. So it's a slight bugger to, I shouldn't say that word, to trim. Not that bad, but not as easy as some of the other ones. And it's a lovely, lovely aeroplane.
And I think that's the period of time when Pierre Robin and his wife they were really quite active air racers, and there was this period with the 1050s where there was a new model almost every year, I think, as he just made it go faster and faster. I bet that was probably quite a good sales technique. It's like, I want the latest, fastest Jodel.
And it's red.
And it's red. I know. Yeah. Annabelle, what did you go for?
I have chosen the absolute legend that is Dreadnought, the Sea Fury, the Sea Fury Reno racer, owned and operated by Sanders Aeronautics. Look at that.
But we said this is general aviation aeroplanes, Annabelle. That looks like a big heavyweight that is going to be beyond the realm of PPL.
You said under 5,700 kilograms, and the Sea Fury is 5,600 kilograms. Ed.
No, I call cheat, but that's clearly within the realms of the rules. So,
well, Dreadnought has been a dominant force at Reno since the 1980s. Has clocked up multiple wins and become a bit of a legend in unlimited class racing. First run unlimited gold in 1983, and I think it took the title about 6 or 7 more times. It is powered by an absolutely ridiculous 28-cylinder Wasp Major, and that produces 4,300 horsepower, and that's enough to take it to 460 miles an hour. And let me remind you, at Reno, you're doing that at 50 feet above the ground. Wow. Although it's been modified for racing, Dreadnought has got a reputation for being reliable. Well, that was up until the day I was meant to see it race, when the engine failed at Reno in 2023. But it's not subtle, and it is absolutely beautiful, and it has earned its place as an aviation legend.
And
not just in racing. Go on, yeah.
Critically, it's got a second seat.
It has. If you want to come flying at 460 miles an hour and 50 feet above the ground, come along.
Wow. Okay.
I was going to ask it. I was going to say it must sound awesome, but sadly, Annabelle doesn't know.
Yes, there is a video. Actually, there is a video online of it racing when it suffered its really big backfire, and it's quite an impressive noise.
It is, yeah.
Very sad. Yes, that you didn't get to see it. So that just leaves me, and I went for this. It's the absolutely gorgeous brainchild of Italian aeronautical design engineer Sergio Stefanuti, and it is the 1950s Ambrosini Superset S7. This is just gorgeous, and basically it was a racer. They built a few versions of it, and they even brought it to the UK, and kind of waged a bit of an air racing war, trying to take a whole bunch of trophies that were up for grabs in the British air racing season. They had 2 versions, one with a 380 horsepower de Havilland Gypsy Queen. It had a brilliant 4-piece cowling that opened like a flower petal, should you need to do servicing, which is very un-Italian. There was also a version with an Alfa Romeo 121, which had the same 380 horsepower. One pilot carried the suitably speedy name Guidantonio Ferrari, and when entered in the 1952 Daily Express International Handicap Challenge Trophy, he took 2nd place, average speed 230 miles an hour, and he went on to set a speed record of 260 miles an hour in December of 1952, and that was an FAA ratified record. It's just gorgeous. I mean, look at it. 1950s aviation journalist Derek Dempster flew the S7 when it was in the UK, and in his very British voice, which I'm just guessing he sounded like, he said, "The old saying that if an aircraft looks good, it will fly well," he said, definitely applies to the Superset. It has all the qualities I look for in an aeroplane: comfort, speed, and maneuverability. He was particularly impressed by the aircraft because it had a fold-away chart table. And check it out. That's more than enough space to put your iPhone with SkyDemon on it. So,
I think you'd eat a pizza on that, wouldn't you? Surely.
That is. I think that's actually what that is. That is a pizza table for you to eat like pizza while you're racing. So, what a beautiful beast that is.
Mm.
And you can grow tomatoes in yours as well, Ed.
Yeah, less so than Johnny. And at least mine looks like it seats 2, whereas I'm sure Johnny's. It looked like that should have about 8 heads in that for sure. Look at it. Anyway, check the comments. What have we got? 28 cylinders, so many to go wrong. Ed wins. Does it have legendary Fiat reliability? I should get rid of that. Stop cheating and have that photo on the screen. Does it have Fiat reliability? Dave wins. Annabelle wins. Another greenhouse. Ed wins. Wow, I've eaten pizza between Reykjavik and Narsarsuaq. I bet not many people have done that or can spell Narsarsuaq. So, Johnny, but then I tour, not race. Okay, that would be quite the tourer. So Dave lacks fantasy, but lovely. I know a 1050 M1 is a lovely aeroplane. Johnny's okay. Aviator Steve is off. By Aviator Steve. So Annabelle wins. Well, I think it might be. It might be an Annabelle wins, and I can't even accuse her of breaking the rules or anything because under the weight of PPL.
You set the rules.
I know I set the rules, and I can't even change them. So there we go. Good stuff. I will tell you, we're over time, amazingly. Lots of good info in Dave's talk. If you want, there's lots of events on at the moment. It would take me ages to run through them. Go to flyer.co.uk/events to catch up on that. And obviously, if you like our content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Flyer TV channel. It all helps us. So it just remains for me to say thank you, Annabelle, for filling in for Ian. Thank you, Dave, for filling in for Dave, and for a brilliant talk about going overseas. If you've been inspired, please do go overseas. Join the Flyer Club. Go and watch Dave's full webinar because it is full of great data about going overseas. And we'll see you next week. Flyer Club members Skystream next Wednesday, 3:00. Otherwise, we'll see you here again next Thursday for another live stream. So thanks, everybody, and see you again soon.
Hello, this video is sponsored by us, the Flyer Club, and if you're not a member already, we'd love for you to join.
Members get access to all of our content, our free landing fees every month, exclusive webinars, and much, much more.
It costs just £5 per month to become a member, so head on over to flyer.co.uk/membership or click the link in the description below.
It's a proper good deal.
It's a bargain.